Hello, Braden. Hello, Alexandria. How we doing?
Pretty good.
That Super Bowl was a bust, huh, Braden?
Not too sure. I didn't watch it.
You didn't miss anything. Okay, we'll wait a moment here and get going. Hi, Alexandria. You're the one at work. Does your boss know that you're goofing off here rather than working? Earlier. Okay, well, that's good. Wait a moment here. All right, here we go. Share and share alike. Bear with me, please. Okay, what I'm going to go over here is an assignment you're going to have in a couple of weeks, the FSA. Not that hard, but I think it's an interesting thing to go through, get you familiar with a company's annual reports. You'll learn a little bit about the particular companies we select. You'll compare them. You'll offer some opinions on which you think is better in certain areas. You'll learn about their products, how they drive their revenues. And what we're looking at here is the annual report for Coca-Cola. Now, the two companies we're going to do this semester are Pfizer, I believe, Pfizer and Johnson and Johnson, two pharmaceutical companies. We all have an interest in our healthcare. Good to know what drugs these guys have developed, what they're working on, how they run their course, what specific accounting issues might pop up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the financial statement analysis. And what we're going to do is go to the financial statements of the Coca-Cola company. Now, if you look at this thing, it pretty much goes on forever. The annual report is a very lengthy thing. Okay. This is the 10K, the Form 10K. It is filed annually. No stock can remain on the New York Stock Exchange without the Form 10K audited and approved. Every quarter, they do a similar one, less detailed, called the 10Q. So, in our financial statement analysis, we want to look at the financial statements to get started. But let's take a little stroll through the annual report here, and you have all kinds of information, and it kind of just goes on. And here is the index, forward-looking statements, and you'll see notes about how the business is doing and different things, segments. When you get into 240, we're going to talk a lot about segments, how businesses divide their um, income sales by different parts of the business. And I'm just kind of scrolling through it briefly just to give you a sense of what you have here. These are all things that investors, people interested in the company might want to hear about it. Okay. So let's go back to the top, Coca Cola, and we're going to try to find their financial statements. And we will look at the table of contents here and look at item A. financial statements and supplementary information. Okay. And that should take us pretty close here. Management's responsibility. I'm just going to talk a little bit about this. About 25 years ago, 26 years ago, there were a lot of accounting scandals. Accounting companies, auditors were cheating. There were big scandals. Enron, if you've ever heard of Enron, World.com, these are all businesses that were publishing fraudulent financial statements. And back in those days, management of the company just say, hey, I'm not responsible. It was done by my accounting department. Those days are over. Management is now responsible for understanding their financial statements, and they must sign off on them, like you see here. And then here is the opinion of the public accounting firm. They say this is a statement that you have to memorize when you take the CPA exam. We have audited the accompanying balance sheet and subsidiaries, and they show critical errors. And I'm still looking for the financial statements. Item, we want 8. What is 8? Please bear with me, guys. Oh, Lord, help me. I'm so sorry. Page 128, wasn't it? 28. It should be starting right here. Oh, God. The auditor's report. I don't want I don't want you to run into this kind of trouble when it's time for you to do this. Here it is right here. 8. Financial statements. Ooh, page 60, huh? Okay, here we go. All right, financial statements. Here is your income statement. And you're going to pull the information right from here. Look at their income statement. These numbers are in millions, by the way. So that number there, that 45,754, you see for 2023 sales, that's $45 billion. So Coca-Cola is huge. Here are your net sales. What you're going to find with Coca-Cola, and if we were doing, say, Pepsi-Cola, they don't have any sales returns and allowances or sales discounts. They pretty much sell to big bottlers, big distributors. So we want to find the net sales, which are right here. We want the cost of goods sold, which is here. We learned that the net sales minus the cost of goods sold equals the gross profit. And here's your operating income. Gross profit minus operating expenses gives you the operating income. So I just wanted to show you the financial statements, how they look here with this particular company. And we're going to put them on the spreadsheet together in a moment, okay? We only want to go down on our FSA project to operating income. We don't care about this other stuff, the other, just operating income. So there is the income statement, and what follows is going to be the balance sheet. And here is their balance sheet, again in millions. So the cash, 9366, they actually have $9,366,000. Yeah, $9,366,000,000 in cash, short-term investments. Here are your current assets, you notice? Current assets total 26. We're going to be interested in those for our report. And we may even want to look at the statement of cash flows. I just want to see one other thing here. Let's take a look at the statement of equity. Remember we worked on this earlier, a couple of weeks ago? Here, they have common shares outstanding. Remember our one of our businesses in the book? They opened up a business with stock, and we had that as a component. And then they have stock issued to employees. They have all different explanations what they're doing with their stock. Reinvested earnings, treasury stock, which we're going to get into. And you can see that their statement of equity is rather lengthy. But I mean, this is basically it here at the bottom, summarized. Balance at the beginning. You add net income. You subtract dividends. And we'll talk about these other little oddballs. Okay, so there is a quick look at the Coca-Cola annual report. Just Google the company and an annual report, okay? So, armed with this, I took a picture of that screen. And let's start dropping a few numbers in here. Okay. Here is your template for the FSA. And let me go through this with you, okay? Our first year, I'm just pulling the numbers from Coca-Cola. 45754 in year 2025. And then we have 43004 and 38655. So those are your net sales, okay? Let's drop in the cost of goods sold, 18,520. Oops, my bad. Nice even number on this one. 15357. And that'll give us our gross profit right here. You just could do the arithmetic this way. There is our gross profit. And this is how you're going to lay this thing out. We'd like for you to do it in we'd like you to do it in an Excel spreadsheet if you can. If not, neatly on a sheet of paper would be fine, handwritten, as long as I can read it. So you get the information, and we just lay the numbers in here. My eyes are bad. Operating income was Now, why am I taking a few moments to do this? You're going to lay it out just like that. I'm going to back into the operating expenses here. Nope. Doesn't want to follow the formula, huh? Okay. So we've dropped the numbers in. This is the information you want to get. The net sales, the cost of goods sold, gross profit, operating expenses, net profit. Now, what do we see here? We see in Coke's case that their sales in 2023, and these years may not be right. This is just an example. In this third year, they went from 38 billion up to 43. That's a big bump. And then they went up again in net sales. What I'd like you to do is go into the Coca-Cola, or in the case of what we're going to do, Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, and give us reasons why. I have a feeling that that 38 million may be the pandemic. Their cost of goods sold has gone from 15 to 18, holding steady, etc. But using dollars to compare one company to another is not usually the best way to do it. We decided that the best way to do it is with percentages, okay? Percentages. So let's get that going here. And here is your first calculation. And if you find this presentation ponderous, I've got a better one that's been saved on your website in Canvas. Okay. Net sales represent 100%. Okay. Let's try to remember that. Net sales are 100%. That's our starting point. That is our anchor, if you will. Everything below your 100%, your net sales number, is expressed as a percentage of that number. So cost of goods sold divided by net sales. Go to the operating expenses, and we can do the same thing with operating expenses as a percentage of net sales. Okay. Now, what I'd like to do here is add a decimal. We want to see one decimal point here. Here we go. And here we can just subtract 59. And if we subtract here, that should be correct. So take a peek at it, please. We had net sales of 100%. The cost of goods sold were 40% of that 100. Gross profit was the 59. And we know that's correct because 100 minus 40.5 equals 59.5 minus the 34.8 gets us down to our net profit. Now, for some reason, I can't copy formulas, and I don't understand that. No, that's no good. So give me a second to do the same thing here. 18,000 divided by your net sales. Do the same thing with gross profit. And we can do the same thing here. Divided by. So you can see that the math is not terribly difficult. You just have to know what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to do what's called this is called a component percentage. A component percentage. We want to look at our net sales and find out where that money is going. So here we go. Come on now. I want one more decimal. Perfect. I said one more decimal. There we go. And let's quickly do the last one here, okay? Let's see if it copies this way. Hey, that seemed to work. Okay, they'll let me do it this way. Hold on. We have a very good class, a very good course that teaches Excel and Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. These are things that you will all be. Oh, come on. They're going to be basic tools going forward, even for you people who are not going into accounting. Okay. So take a look at. Now we have some percentages, and this is where we can do some comparisons. So this might be Coca-Cola. Now we're not going to go into Pepsi, but sometimes I like to do Coke and Pepsi. You'd have the same exact format below. Okay. So we've just completed step one, the component percentages. And the first thing a lot of people might want to see is the net profit. Wow, it went from 27 down to 25, and it's holding steady at a little more. Went down actually a little bit more, but down to 24.7. So what this means is, as you know, we got that net profit by taking the net profit and dividing it by the sales. So for every dollar of sales, Coca-Cola, they keep 25 cents. So that seems pretty good to me. So component percentage, not too tough. Let's do what's called the time series portion, where we're going to compare years, okay? Start with the earliest year minus the next year. So here we're comparing 25 and 24. All I'm doing is taking the current year minus the earlier year. Got up this morning, last night, early Super Bowl morning. I got up about 6 in the morning. It was 3 below zero here. 3 below zero. Did you know that's cold? My God, that was brutal. I went out in that for a while. Okay. Okay. All we did here was take the earlier year, 2025, subtract 2024. And then when we come here, now we're working with 24 against 23. So we're going to go plus the more recent year minus here. 18 minus that. And here we've got 25 minus here. Minus. Okay. Not so bad. One thing I noticed right away is there are no declines anywhere. There are no declines. I don't see any negative numbers here. They may not be growing that quickly, but they're not losing ground. That's one quick observation, okay? So that's all that is, the difference between the years. Now, again, it's the percentage that will enable us to compare the two companies when you get the Pfizer and Johnson and Johnson. And here's the formula that I like to use. There's all different ways, but I find this is the one that works for me. Go to the earliest divided by, you're dividing year 2025 by year 2024 minus 1. And let me turn these into percentages. Come on, give me a percentage. There we go. Add a decimal. Oh, that's so annoying. Okay, give me just a little more here. We're going to go into the bracket divided by your next year, which is almost the same amount, minus 1. The other way to do it is to take the year 1 minus year 2, get that difference, then take that difference and divide it by year 1. That would work as well. Okay. Let me fix this. 2.9%. And I think it's worth spending another minute here going over the calculation. This project, I believe, is worth 30 points, so it's a pretty good chunk of your grade. Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. I forgot my bracket. How could I do that? Mm-hmm. Okay. And there you have that percent. We might as well finish them. Just take a moment here. Now you're getting into 24. This should really say 24 versus 2023. And it's the same formula. Again, you start with the newest year. This divided by this. We'll put it in brackets. I'm a bracket kind of guy. Isn't that awful? Trying to go too fast. Huh? I'll get the decimals in there as a percentage. Hopefully, when you do this, you do it a lot faster than me. I keep forgetting the brackets. What is wrong with me? Huh? And let's get the percentages up here. We want a percentage and we want one decimal. So that's all there is to it for this top part of your FSA. Now you have some meat here. Now you can really look at something. Well, let's see. We did the component percentages. Okay. Well, their cost of goods sold was at 40% 2 years ago. Then it went all the way up to 42%, which is a pretty good bump. And now it's back down to 40.5. What I'd like you to do is read into the annual report the disclosure notes to the financial statements, and they'll give some reasons why these things happen. When you're doing your handwritten write up, Google the company, Google some press releases, see what other information you might get. Gross profit, well, that's been at 60, 58, and their operating expenses are in 34. So Coke is not the most exciting company. I own stock in it, and I don't expect the stock to go way, way up. I do expect it to continue to climb a little bit, but they pay a very good dividend. And that's what I live on, dividends and interest and social security and all kinds of gambling. No, not gambling. Okay. Anybody have a question? Julie, I'll pick on poor Julie. Julie, does it make a little bit of sense to you? Anything that looks too tricky right now? Is Julie there going once?
Hi, it was really informational.
What's that?
Like it was like really like informational. Like I learned, they like clarified like what
Mhm.
I was confused on.
Okay. Which one are you still confused on one thing, are you saying?
As of right now, not really. I feel like I just need to study it a little more, practice it more.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. It's not too bad. And of course I'll save this for you and send it out to you guys. Now there's a little bit more to this project. We want to do some things with the balance sheet. We want to come up with we want to come up with the inventory